We're on Oholot Perek Tet Zayin, Mishnah Gimel, third Mishnah in the 16th chapter of Masechet Oholot. So we're going to learn a principle and we're going to learn the rules of the Mishnah, but there's a lot of sort of calculation that can be involved that we're really not going to go into great depth, as I will explain later. We're going to talk about the idea. The Kahati explains that they had a practice, an understandable practice, of trying to clear the roads, clear the paths that people would travel on the way to the Beit HaMikdash from any possible kvarot, from any possible graves or tumah, because people wanted to go to the Beit HaMikdash, they had to be tahor. So imagine if you're on your way to Aliyah the Regel and you find out, you walked over a grave you didn't know about. That'd be probably pretty upsetting. So if they found a dead person, if that was buried sort of temporarily, very often a person would die on the way, they would bury them and intend to move them. But if they found a person that was buried temporarily, they had the right to move them. But on the other hand, if you found a graveyard, so then you don't have the right to move the graveyard. So what's the difference between a graveyard and a temporary? That's what the topic of that's what our Mishnah will discuss. Hamotzeh met batchila mushkav kidako. Batchila means you didn't know that there was lo yadu shayasham kever. You didn't know there was a kever there. This Mishnah is actually quoted Nazir Tet Gimel. So you found a grave of deceased. Okay, and mushkav kedako, he's laid normally. If it wasn't laid normally, then there was a certain concern that it wasn't a Jewish grave, because that's the way the Jews bury their dead. Notlo ve'etvusato, you can move him, and moving graves is not a simple matter, but you can move him, and tvusato. Tvusa is the dirt around it. When you move a grave, you can't just move the grave. You have to move the dirt, the earth that has sort of absorbed part of the remains of the deceased. Masashnai, that's if you found one. You found two, not lam ve'tvusatam. You can move them. You can move them and they're tvusatam. Now the Bartenura has, I think, the girsa of tfusa. Maybe the Rambam says. He says tvusa, but some say tfusa, tafus. I'm not sure. Rambam here. Rambam garas tvusato. That's what we have. The Bartenura has tfusato from litvos. However much the space that it takes up. It's the same idea. Matzah shlosha, if you found three, im yesh bein zeh lazeh me'arba amot v'ad shmona amot, if there's between 4 to 8 amot, kimelo mita v'kovreha, the amount of space it would take to fill the grave and the burial people. Some Mefarshim, the Bartenura says we don't have this girsi. Take these words out. Anyway, if there's between 4 to 8 amot between them, hareze shchunat kvarot, that's a shchunat kvarot, a neighborhood of graves. A burial, a graveyard, and therefore therefore it's a graveyard. It was the people were there buried intentionally, and you can't move it at all. So, and you really have a lot of trouble. You have a lot of problems and what to do, because then you have to sort of move the road around it. You can't move the graveyard. It's like a Rav Posen. So you can see, okay, this is how they would make the graveyards. They would have a chatzer, and then they would bury them in these. I showed you a picture. In these sort of areas, these kuchim. Okay, so therefore, let's say you found one here. How far is it possible if you found another one between 4 and, so this is 4 and 6 amot away, 4 by 6. That was generally the area of the cave. So therefore, if you found a grave anywhere, and they would say the angle could be up to 8. If this is 4 by 6, this would be about 8. So therefore, if you found one here and you found one here, then you know you're in a graveyard. And that's a big problem. Now, what I wanted to show you, and this is what I wanted to show you, is there are all kinds of crazy calculations about how you get from different ones, how the graveyard was built, and how you get from 4 to 6 or 4 to 8. And you can see, I'm not going to go into it exactly how you get from 4 to 6 or 4 to 8. It's beyond the scope of Mishnah Yom here, but you get the general idea. So says the Mishnah, if that happens, then you have a shchuna kvarot, you have a graveyard, and you got to take care of it. Therefore, bodek mimenu lahalaan esrim ama. Then you have to check 20 amot from there. How do you get 20 amot? Says the Bartenura. Shamera arba amot v'chev al sheish. The cave was 4 by 6. V'achatzer shamera p'tuchol mikanu lekan sheish al sheish. And the chatzer, okay, the cave is connected to a chatzer. Chatzer is like a courtyard, and the courtyard is 6 by 6. So if you take 6 plus 6 plus 6, or 4 by 6 plus 6 plus 6, that's what Rav Posen, I think he has a picture of this. Okay, you have me'ara, chatzer, me'ara. Right, how you have an angle, how you get, it's 4, 6, 6. So that's why you would say this is 18 plus 2, that's 4, that's 6 plus 2. That's how you get 20. They all have an issue of how do you get to 20? How do you calculate how far you have to get to to get from one to the next. That's how you get bodek mimenu esrim ama. That's how you get to 20. Again, the Bartuner calculates how you get to 20. That's something that is beyond the scope of our Mishnah. That's what he says. Sometimes you bury on an angle. One of the caves is on an angle. That's exactly what this is exactly what the Bartuner is describing here. Okay, and therefore the angle of the me'ara is 2 extra odev shtei amot. Therefore, nimsu esvim amah. That's how you get to 20. Okay, I'm sure if you go into it, you could do a doctoral dissertation on burial practices and how they got to 20. Anyway, assume it's 20 amot. But so that's why you have to check up to once you find 3 graves. Now you got a problem because now you have to check 20 amot in either direction. Okay, matzah echad besof esvim amah. If you find one 20 amot away, bodek mimenu lahalan esvim amah. Then you have to check another 20 because it might be 20 from the other side. You might have found 20 in the middle. Shiraglayim medavar. Raglayim medavar means it has legs. It has legs means raglayim medavar. Once you have found something, then you have to assume you're going to find more. But it says the Mishnah, which is true, if you found the guy 20 amot away, one grave 20 amot away, you could have moved it. If you found 20, let's say you found 120 amot away, and then you looked, so then you'd have to look 4 to 6, then you'd have to look up to 8 amot away. You didn't find. So you don't have to look 20. You never would have found the original 3. But once you find the 3, then you got to start searching. You have to broaden your search. That's because it's raglayim the davar. The thing has legs, and now you got to worry. And you can just see like how that once they found, oh my God, now we're in big trouble, right? I found 20. Okay, I found 3. I found another 20. I found another 20. You got to keep searching. And now the FBI is involved, and it's a never-ending process. All right, we'll stop here. Dedicate our learning to memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Make it a great day.